Hi, everybody. It's Thursday. You know what that time means? It's time for another Facebook Live Global Travel Update. Peter Greenberg here with you. Last week we were from Reykjavik in Iceland. This week, a little bit hotter location, at least in terms of temperature. We're from the Grand Britannia Hotel, the legendary five-star hotel right here in Athens, Greece. And of course, talk about a room with a view. I'm in the penthouse. No, I'm not staying here. They're letting me borrow it. Look behind me. There's the Acropolis. So happy to be with you again and to tell you what's going on in the world, and of course to answer your questions. A little bit of housekeeping. You can always email me to peter@petergreenberg.com. If you don't get on today, we'll answer that. The radio show, of course, this Saturday from Greece, and of course it's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you can't find a station in your neighborhood, no problemo. Go right to our website, petergreenberg.com. Hit the radio icon. We stream it live. Lots of stuff to talk about this week, especially from this part of the world. Why am I in Greece? Greece was one of the first countries to reopen to Americans back in May, even when they were on a lockdown. And they've been getting more and more Americans every week. Hotel occupancies are going through the roof. Every plane is full, including the one I came on last night. And not to mention, I was on an American flight last night. There's also Delta and United. They were also full as well. The hotels are filling up. The cruise ships are filling up. In fact, in about 3 days, I will be going over to Crete to join the brand new Silver Sea, Silver Moon to see what's going on with that ship and that cruise line as they begin operations here in Greece and, of course, throughout the Mediterranean. But speaking of the European Union and, of course, the region in general, something was supposed to happen a couple of days ago. In fact, on July 19th, I've been talking about that. Even the Brits were calling it Freedom Day. Well, not a lot of freedom, except if you want to open up the pubs and the restaurants, which they did, but not for us yet. They have not relaxed the restrictions on vaccinated Americans coming over to the United Kingdom. And in fact, to make matters even worse, because of a spike in their cases, the U.S. State Department basically hit them with a level 4 do not travel advisory. So all bets are off as to when they're going to open up. Now, Ireland opened up this week, 3 days ago, and actually on Monday, the 19th. And we're going to see what happens there. Not Northern Ireland, not yet, but the rest of Ireland has. So we'll see what happens. And of course, Canada finally weighed in, and they're opening up to vaccinated Americans as of August 9th. The ports won't open up until November. So that means the Alaska cruise season, by traditional definitions, is sort of dead. That's why President Biden signed that waiver and why the cruise lines are now sailing from Seattle and San Diego nonstop to Alaska without stopping in Canada. So that's the update on that. The other thing I want to talk about, and it's a real bug with me, and that is, about 10 days ago we saw Richard Branson launch, and then of course earlier this week we saw Jeff Bezos launch, and they went into space. They did not. They went near space. They were space adjacent, and it was a great stunt. A great beginning, but let's put this in some historical context. Think about this. Back in 1958 and 59, the Russian monkey and Sputnik had a better deal. It was also suborbital. He went up, he came down. And he didn't pay $250,000 to Richard Branson or $28 million to Jeff Bezos. So that's a very expensive souvenir spacesuit you get to keep. But let's just put this in perspective. It's just a beginning. They are not astronauts. They're space-adjacent flyers, and they were only up for, 18 minutes. So let's just calm down, wait for the price to come down, wait for the technology to improve, and then we'll go to space. But right now, I want to show you something that my producer sent me yesterday. Can we put that photo up, that graphic? Look at this. And by the way, I'm part of the media. I'm ashamed about this. Look at the actual time that the networks, the major TV networks, spent on Jeff Bezos when he was launched into space. Not space, space adjacent. Guess what? 200 and how many minutes? 212 minutes. How much time did all three networks spend in the entire year of 2020 on climate change? 267 minutes. Do you get the disconnect here, the imbalance? So let's get our priorities straight. Before we call ourselves astronauts, let's figure out the flooding in Germany, the fires in Oregon, and everything else that's involved with climate change. I know I'm making a statement, and some of you think I'm going to be political about it. I'm not. You can't ignore it. Oregon's on fire. Germany is flooding. And so many other cities are as well. So let's get that in order. Let's wish Jeff Bezos luck and Richard Branson luck. And go out and buy your own spacesuits for $19.95 at Marshall's. But let's wait and see what happens for the rest of the planet that needs our attention now. All right. Now, one more thing I want to talk about. You know, this is bug time. Here's bug number 2. I flew over last night on American. Remember what I said last week about the Biscoff cookies? How American was now only serving one Biscoff cookie, and it was even smaller. So how did I come to Greece? I came prepared. That's right, I BYO'd, because they didn't serve any cookies last night. So I'd mention that for anybody in American who might be listening. Get the cookies back on the plane. All right, now, let's get back to the news. It's still a mess in the cruise industry. This week, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against the state of Florida. By the way, Norwegian Cruise Lines was a party to that suit, suing the state of Florida, saying that the state's law had made it impossible for them to provide a safe and healthy environment for their passengers because the state of Florida was not allowing them to require proof of vaccination to get on the ship. Now, I guarantee you, 3 days from now, when I go to Crete to get on the Silver Moon, I'm going to have to show proof of vaccination to get on the ship. So will the officers, so will the crew. That's what it should be, 100% vaccination compliance. So now the 11th Circuit has sided on the side of the cruise lines. What's going to happen now? Nothing, because the state of Florida is going to appeal. So watch the space. We'll see how it gets resolved in the courts. But remember one other thing. The cruise lines are perfectly positioned to literally move their assets. And if this doesn't go well, you'll see Carnival and Royal Caribbean sailing out of South Carolina and Georgia, and they'll move their ships from Texas to New Orleans. Count on that. For the moment, though, vaccinations are optional if you want to cruise out of Florida. But what did Carnival do? They threw in a new little wrinkle. That's right. You don't have to be vaccinated to get on the ship. But what they are requiring, which doesn't come under the new Florida law, is that you have to provide proof of 2 kinds of insurance: medical insurance to treat you for COVID, and then medical evacuation and repatriation insurance to get you out of there and fly you home. A minimum of $10,000 of coverage on the medical side and $30,000 of coverage on the medical evacuation and repatriation side. So let's see what happens on that. Airfares are continuing to rise, and it's not easy, and including the international flights as more and more Americans are coming over to Europe. Rental cars. We've all talked about how absurd those prices are, and they're getting crazier as we speak, but something else crazy is happening, and I want to make you aware of it. Now, my advice pre-pandemic stays the same. Before you ever accept a rental car off the lot, take out your cell phone camera, make sure you're time coding and dating your photos, and walk around the car and snap pictures of the condition of the car, both inside and out. It will take you a total of 4 minutes. Do it, because you don't want to get dinged for dings you didn't do. And those dings are going to cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars if they claim you did it. That's number one. But then there's a new one, and that is so many rental cars were left parked in lots during the pandemic that the rental car companies didn't do their homework, and they didn't renew the registrations of some of these cars. The tags on the plates are expired. So when you're taking that photo, make sure you take a photo of the tag of the plate, because a lot of people are getting pulled over and they're getting tickets by local police for driving a car with expired plates, a car they don't even own, a car they've rented. And then there's number 3, and this is the whammy. People are renting cars for, let's say, a week, but they're not returning them. They're keeping them for more than the contract specifies. And maybe they're keeping them for another week or 2. In some cases, what are the rental cars coming to do? They're claiming the cars were never returned, therefore they are stolen. They report them, as stolen, and then the car gets returned, but they don't take the stolen report off the police. So what happens? The next poor guy rents the car and gets thrown in jail for driving a stolen car. So if you're going to rent a car right now, you have homework to do on the condition of the car, the physical condition of the car, the validity of the plates, and make sure that you know from the rental car company that it has not been reported as stolen. Assume nothing. All right? So you know about that. Now, let's go to some of your questions, and we'll start scrolling from the top here. And we got a lot of them. Here we go. Hello, Scott. Hello, Mary. Hello, Patrick, as always. Scott says, looks like cruises are coming back. Yes, they are back. The European cruises are selling out. The U.S. cruises are selling out. What's really selling out are the cruises for the beginning of 2022 all the way through next year. And we're talking the big expensive item cruises like the world cruises. You know, $174,000 a cabin. Bingo, sold out. April says, what a great view, 95 over here in Vegas. Well, April, it's about 85 here in Athens. So we're sort of even, but I like my view better. It reminds me, by the way, since you've written in from Vegas, one day I was walking down the strip in Las Vegas, and there was a guy there with his girlfriend. And, you know, if I ever wanted to do a mean-spirited show, I would set up a camera on the strip in Las Vegas and just lock down the camera. And as everybody walked by, I'd ask them to come over to the camera and just ask them one question. What were you thinking? The fashion choices are pretty amazing. Well, in this case, there's a guy standing there in front of the Venetian Hotel, in front of those faux canals. And he's got his arm around his girlfriend, who weighed about maybe 250 pounds and was wearing hot pants, part of the What Were You Thinking Brigade. But here's the best part. He says to her, I overhear this. He says, baby, I've been to Venice. This is better. Well, hey, I'm in Athens and this is better. All right, let's move on. Good morning from Denver to Evelyn. Robin from Williamsburg. Tanya says, you love the Grand Britannia. What's not to love about this hotel? I've been coming to this hotel for over 30 years. The very first time I came to this hotel, it's a great story. I was actually in Cairo because I was there when Sadat got shot, 1981. And we got the story done, but things were getting a little nasty in the streets. We were done. We needed to get out. And I said, all right, let's take the first plane out of here. I just want to get out. And I went out to the airport with my friend David Burnett, one of the world's great photographers. And the only plane going, everything else was booked. The only plane going was Olympic Airways, the Greek airline, which then was a terrible airline. They had two sections on that plane, smoking and more smoking. But we got on it anyway. We flew to Athens, and we got here after a tumultuous week in Cairo. Where do we go? Right here, the Grand Britannia. What a great place to recover, not just from the smoking section of Olympic Air, but from what happened in Cairo. Anyway, that's my story of the Grand Britannia. I've been coming ever since. What about traveling to Morocco? Not a problem. Are the cruise ships running at 100%? Many of them are as of next week. Remember, they started at about 25 or 30%. I'll be on the Silver Moon, which will be at about 50%. Last week, the Crystal Endeavor sailed from Iceland at about 40%. But by next week and the week after, those bookings will come up. And they'll probably be at 100% by the middle of August. Okay, what is the latest? Elizabeth wants to know, what's the latest of travel to Chile and Argentina? It's a mess. Argentina still hasn't opened the borders. Chile's having meltdowns. Colombia is having meltdowns. South America is having meltdowns, not to mention their virus cases in Brazil. Answer is, we're thinking Christmas. Okay. Tanya wants to know, how do you find the Fifth Freedom flights? First of all, for those of you who don't know what they are, I'll explain it. A Fifth Freedom flight is an agreement between countries that allows an airline that's not based in country A to fly to a destination in a country they're also not based in destination B. So, for example, I flew here on American Airlines from New York to Athens. That's not a Fifth Freedom flight because American Airlines is based in the United States. However, if I'd gone to Newark last night and got on the Emirates flight from Newark to Athens, that is a Fifth Freedom flight because Emirates is neither based in the United States or in Greece. And the way you find those Fifth Freedom flights is the old-fashioned way. Anybody here who's a travel agent or a former travel agent will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's called the OAG. It stands for the Official Airline Guide. And next Thursday, I'll bring one and show it to you. I carry it with me all the time. It's in my suitcase now. I just didn't bring it up here. And what it is, it lists. There are 3 volumes: one for North America, one for Europe, and the Middle East, and one for Asia. And they're the size of like small telephone books. And in each volume, they list every single published flight in the world. When you go online, you're seeing an abbreviated listing. You're only seeing what they want to show you. When you go on on the online travel agencies like Expedia or Travelocity or Orbitz, and you see something saying, oh, only 4 seats left, that's only 4 seats left in their own seat allocation given to them by the airline. There are other airlines flying that they don't even recognize because they're not part of the system. But the OAG records every single one of them. So if you're looking to go from point A to point B, you'll find those little airline designator codes in there, and you'll go, you're kidding me. Turkish Airlines flies between Sao Paulo and Buenos Aires. Who knew, right? Lufthansa flies between Mexico City and Ecuador. How did that happen? Fifth Freedom Rights. Because they needed to get the plane somewhere else along the way to somewhere else. So for years, the best way to go from Los Angeles to Sao Paulo was on Korean Air. They've since canceled that flight. But in those days, the flight started in Seoul, stopped in LA, and then went down to Brazil, and they were allowed to take that traffic. Why not? And if you want to go from Copenhagen to Rome right now, you can go on Singapore Air. So you get the concept. Get the OAG. They have an online version as well. I carry it with me because I can find stuff faster in there than going online. All right. Hello from Chesapeake to Loretta. Tara Newfield says, is Egypt safe? Yep. And I'm planning to go there in the next 2 months. The answer is yes. By the way, Egypt has always been safe. We're all a bunch of scaredy cats based on State Department advisories. I'm serious. Now, are there risk factors involved going anywhere? You bet. Look, there are only 4 places in the world I wouldn't go right now. Right? Those are the places where nobody's in control. Parts of Yemen, Syria, Haiti, and Newark, New Jersey. I'm kidding about Newark, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm running out of places. Everywhere else, do your homework, travel responsibly, and you'll be fine. Michelle says, going to Crete in September. What restrictions are there? You got to get a designator number with a little barcode from the Greek government before you leave. You got to show proof of vaccination, and you're in. Now remember, parts of Greece are still in lockdown. Mykonos, they canceled all music concerts the other night, but that'll come back. You know, the fact that there's no music in Mykonos, make your own. Doesn't stop you from going. All right. Hello, Mary Bemis and Mary Branch. You like my space adjacent flyers. Thank you, Mary. Okay. Any news on United's partnership with an eMed COVID home test kit? No, but we'll find out for you. Hi there from Corinth, Texas. That's Ayla Gonzalez. I love the space adjacent. You got it. Okay. Okay. I'm looking at these new ones. Cindy Hodison says 23% of Morocco is vaccinated, whereas the rest of Africa has vaccinated only 1% to 2% of their populations. That's true. I mentioned this last week. I was in Tanzania about 3 weeks ago. The vaccination level there is only 6%, but it didn't stop me from going. Remember, the metrics have somewhat changed. We've gone from focusing on the vaccination levels of the destination to the vaccination levels of the people who want to go. That's why the European Union opened up to us, right? By the way, in Iceland, where we were last week, the vaccination level is 80%. All right, here we go. Greetings from Atlanta from Stephen Graves. He's going to Berlin, Germany in 3 weeks. Berlin's the hottest place in Germany. Munich used to be the party town. Now it's Berlin. Have a ball. It's great. Patty Ford says, Airlines, no cookies? Well, Patty, none of these cookies. And I might say, I don't work for Biscoff. I don't endorse them, although I like them. I just miss them. So I now BYOC. Okay. Oh my God. Evelyn says there's also Biscoff ice cream. I'll pass on that. This is rich enough for me. Chuck says, should I ignore the State Department warning and take a trip to Panama in October? This brings up one of my biggest pet peeves, State Department advisories, right? We all know that we're painting with a huge brush here, a very broad brush, and it's not fair to a lot of destinations. Now, you want to give me a State Department advisory on the places I gave you? Yemen, parts of Chechnya, Syria, and Haiti, I'm in. But you want to give me a State Department advisory to the United Kingdom? A do not travel advisory? I'm sorry, does not compute. It doesn't compute because I'm vaccinated. If I'm not vaccinated, can't go anyway. But even if they let me go, I shouldn't go. I get that. So if you're going to have a State Department advisory, be really specific. It's just not like do not travel. Really? That's like saying do not breathe. Guess what? I'm breathing, and so should you. Same thing about Panama, by the way. Mary misses the cookies. Patty Ford says, no cookies. She's going to email AA. You get them, Patty. All right. A lot of people are talking about the cookies. Look, we're talking about the Delta variant. I'm talking about the Biscott variant. All right, let's move on. Anna says, please share must places to see and eat in Mykonos, Santorini, and Crete. I'm not your travel agent. However, next week I'll be broadcasting from the ship, and we're going to most of those places. So stay tuned. I'll have recommendations. Okay, here we go. I'm going to scroll up here for a second. Okay, we're going here. A lot of people coming in here, so hold on a second. Wow, I'm catching up here. A lot of people. Stay with me. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, I'm going to try to get everybody here. Okay, where can I get cruise insurance? My favorite topic, travel insurance for most people is not worth it, and it's a joke. We all learned that during the pandemic because they all had clauses in there saying we don't cover for pandemic. They told you that after you bought the insurance because it was on page 95 of their website, and none of us, including me, ever got there, right? Listen, you don't buy cruise insurance or travel insurance from the cruise line, never. You don't buy travel insurance from the online travel agents, even though you can't finish your transaction unless you opt in or opt out. Opt out. Then call your travel agent or your travel advisor. They can walk you through the hieroglyphics of that policy language, and you know what you're going to get then. All right? Follow my advice on that. Peter Coe, every week he's promoting Madison. I don't blame you. I love Madison, Wisconsin. I am going to come back, but I may even go back earlier to the Wisconsin Notre Dame football game that they're playing in Chicago this year, and then I'll come up to Madison. Mike Lucan says, Acropolis is a pile of rocks. Mike, I got news for you. It's quite a pile. Some very interesting rocks. Don't miss it. Okay. Patty Ford is now making us both feel old. She says, my mother stayed at the Grand Britannia in 1960, and I bet she loved it. Okay. All right, let's see. Are masks mandatory in Athens now? No. There you go. I'm not wearing one. There you go. Milgren says, my mom was there too when Sadat got shot in Cairo. Crazy days. October of 1981. Okay, here we go. I'm going back. We've got a lot of repeat questions here, so hold on. Patty Ford says, Emirates has better food. You bet. You bet. I have to tell you, the American service promise has sort of dropped down. And by the way, this is not just an American Airlines problem. It's a travel industry problem. How many hotels will use the pandemic as an excuse to cut service? There are some hotels right now that are claiming that hospitality, is a given. No, it's not. Hotel housekeeping is an option. Really? I hope not. And then I have to share with you one more thing. Remember how much I'm bitching about resort fees? Well, now the hotels have changed the name a little bit because of all the lawsuits on resort fees. Some of them are now calling them destination fees. But you're never going to guess what they're going to charge you for that now is included, quote unquote, in your destination fee. Are you ready? 24-hour access to the gym. Are you serious? And in one hotel, you know what they put on there? A full-length mirror in your room if you pay the destination fee. This is getting nuts. The accountants have taken over the asylum, and everybody's going crazy. That is not going to last. And Evelyn says, down memory lane, AOG. Yeah, but they're still published, Evelyn, and they still save my ass every time I travel. Okay, D. Decker says, hi from Arizona. How safe is it to travel to Switzerland for a pre-river cruise and Amsterdam for a post-river cruise? It's fine. I'm assuming you're vaccinated and you'll play by the rules. Planning to go to Barcelona in August. I believe you have to have a negative COVID test before departing. Any advice? Do it anyway. Because once you get to Barcelona, if you want to travel to another country in the EU, they may require it as well in that 72-hour window. And again, don't forget, you're going to have to do it on the way home because of the US rules. All right. Do I think the Olympic Games will start or should they be canceled? 85% of the Japanese people think it should be canceled. The only reason why the Olympic Games are being televised now is because they're being televised. It's the TV rights. There are no spectators in the stands from any other country. There are no spectators in the stands from Japan. And we have now incidents of Olympic athletes being tested positive for COVID. It's a $20 billion nightmare because somebody said full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes. Well, guess what? Just a few torpedoes out there. They may get themselves into a problem now where they're going to go full speed ahead anyway, and the torpedoes are still going to come. So I'm not going to give you my position on it, but I think you can figure it out. Okay. Greetings from Spain from Tim. Patty Ford talks about repositioning flights. Those are Fifth Freedom flights too. Colleen says, my flight for Europe leaves in a few hours. Okay, well, enjoy the not getting the Biscoffs. I'm flying with Turkish Airlines to Istanbul, great airline. They fly to more destinations than any other airline in the world. In fact, they even fly to 44 of the 54 African countries. Nobody can make that claim. Great airport to hub at, by the way, and stay at. Right? Stay a few extra days in Istanbul. Okay to travel to Kenya now would be for me. I was just in Tanzania, which is Kenya adjacent. I'm keeping the adjacent theme going here. All right. Lynn Mason says, I was once landing in Newark and the flight attendant says, welcome to Newark, the Paris of the Northeast. So obviously that flight attendant was on medication. All right. Here we go. I'm looking here. This is from Roseanne. I'm heading on a Carnival cruise this Saturday, 2 days from now. This is my third cruise since ports opened in Florida. We'll let you know how they all compare and hoping all remain in service. Me too. All right. Bruce Siegel says, I like the chips better. Mr. Siegel, I'm sorry. This is the way to go. As long as you're going to eat crap on the plane, eat this crap. All right. Sherry Anderson, come support our California tourism. We need you. Everybody needs us. California needs it as well. The problem is California has to get together here. They can't be individual cities promoting themselves. It doesn't work. All right, I'm screwing up here because I've lost a few people, so stay with me. I'm going back up. Okay, here we go. Sorry, guys. Too many questions are coming in. Celebrity Cruises now requiring to book their tours in Mykonos, which means they've got a bubble going on. Okay. I tried to get upgraded seats going to Mexico. This is from Joy Daniels, excuse me. I was told I didn't qualify. On my return flight home, we were called to the gate and told we were upgraded. We got upgraded to first class window seats. How did that happen? Thank you, American Airlines. I have no idea. Who gets an upgrade and who doesn't is the dark science of yield management at airlines. And you never know. Remember, there's a complete caste system of upgrades, right? And other people are more equal than you. Sometimes you're more equal than they are, depending on who's reserved on the flight and who put in for the upgrade, or who's paying for the upgrade versus mileage, or who's paying for the upgrade versus a VIP certificate, or who's paying for the upgrade versus just hoping that their status will get them bumped up. There is no one answer. I wish I could tell you. You roll the dice. When should you buy international travel? That's from Diana. Give me more specifics, Diana, when you want to go. I'll answer that question. What is the situation in Central and Eastern Europe and Poland? Poland, I believe, is still locked down. They're having another spike in cases, but we'll get you that. We'll get you more information about that next week. Susan says, I recently flew to Hawaii. Aloha, Susan. And let's see. Mask mandate in Spain is strong. Mandatory anywhere indoors. Okay for Spain. Okay. Drew says the Olympics is going ahead. I think it should be postponed. There you go. What about Australia cruise this December? Think it'll go? No, I don't. Australia has made it very clear to me in many of the conversations I've had with their tourism officials that they're not planning to open until February at the latest or the earliest. A cruise that they might have in Australia is a cruise to nowhere for people who already live in Australia. I don't think that means you. Susan says on United, I got dime-sized pretzels. All right, well, yeah, but they didn't do the biscuits. All right. When will the UK open to USA travelers? I thought it was going to be July 19th. There's another issue happening here beyond the fact that they've had a spike in cases. The other issue is that, remember, there's a joint US-UK task force that was formed to resolve issues so they could open that corridor to vaccinated Europeans to America. And the unresolved issue is, which vaccines are we going to accept? And right now, the US is basically saying to the Europeans and to the folks in the UK, we're not accepting AstraZeneca and we're not accepting the Sino vaccine. So until that's resolved, all bets are off. Okay. I'm looking here. Best supplemental health insurance for international travelers on Medicare. Well, remember, there's just insurance, and then there's a service that's called medical evacuation and repatriation insurance. I carry that. There are a number of good companies that offer it. Travel Guard does it. MedJet Assist does it. I mean, other companies do it, but you got to read the fine print. That's over and above whatever Medicare is going to cover you in case you get sick or injured overseas. They will bring you back. The U.S. beach volleyballer got tested positive, got sent home. Look, it's happening. It's happening. Okay, let me scroll back up again. So many more. Natalie says, we were traveling to Athens in late September. Other than the Parthenon, what is your favorite thing to do there? Well, are you talking Athens or are you talking Greece? Be more specific and I'll give you an answer. Okay. Interesting. The volleyballer who tested positive wasted his medal chance, according to Mike Lukens, by not getting vaccinated. Dummy. Yeah, he just won a gold medal for idiot. Okay, going to Italy in April. When is it best to purchase air? Not now. April is not a big season in Italy. I'd wait till around February 15th, and you'll be pleasantly surprised as to what's available. Okay? Okay. Concerning cruises, would you not recommend that travelers inquire whether to disembark? You need to participate in bubble tours. Look, we all love to explore ports independently. Every destination has a different rule, and it changes all the time. So you're not going to find it in the cruise ship brochures, and you may not even find it once you're on the ship on the daily schedule. You're going to have to add, it's a day-by-day, hour-by-hour decision. That's going to be probably through September. Okay. Marie says, I'm late to class. Where are you in Athens? I'm at the Grand Britannia, and right behind me, you know what that is. Okay. Whoops, here we go. I'm looking at some new ones. All right. Can I bring food on my flight? Yes, you can. But let me tell you what kind of food. Whatever you do, it better not be KFC or McDonald's. Nothing smells worse at 35,000 feet than a half-eaten bag of that stuff, right? Or the French fries in that oil. They might be good to eat. They're not good for the rest of us to smell. So if you're going to bring food on the plane, think about hydrating yourself and think about liquids, right? So fill your water bottle after you clear security. That's number one. Number two, bring fruit, apples, grapes, oranges, things that taste great and will actually hydrate you, all right? Nothing pre-cooked and nothing that's fast food. That's my advice anyway. Okay. Moving up here. Kim Luck says going to Spain and see, Michelle, of course, in Paris. Tell Michelle he owes me an email. He didn't answer me. What are your thoughts on home testing COVID tests? Heard Delta and A are in partnership with some. The jury's out on that. I'm not going to home test. I mean, really? I mean, no. I need a document that I can show somebody that comes from a third-party independent source I'm not going to talk about what I did at home and hope that someone's always going to accept that. I'm just not a fan yet. Sorry about that. Oh, now, speaking of being a fan, let's go to the photo of the week. Time to do that. Check this out. It's coming up now. How cool is that picture? Anybody remember where it was taken? Can you tell me? I'll give you a hint. East Coast. And Sonny took it. Sonny Sampayan. It was to York, Maine, at the Nubble Lighthouse. I mean, and most of you should have gotten it because it's considered to be the most photographed lighthouse in America. I'm not so sure that's true, but it's one of the most photographed lighthouses in America. And it sits at the summit of Cape Nedick Bubble. Congress appropriated $15,000, a lot of money, to build it back in 1879. It's still in use today. And where I live on Fire Island in New York, that lighthouse was built in 1858. And although it's no longer maintained or operated by the Coast Guard, it still turns that light around every 6.5 seconds. And even though it's no longer considered a navigational aid officially, there's not a boater on Fire Island that doesn't use it. And you can climb it. Very cool thing to do. All right. Now, the most important thing is two things I want to share with you. One, and I just noticed this online the other day when I was trying to make a reservation. I don't use online to make reservations without making a phone call second, for the same reasons I gave you before. But what I do notice online, which bothers me greatly, is what the airlines in this age of chaos and delays, what they consider a legal connecting time. I saw a flight the other day connecting in Dallas with a connect time of 32 minutes. That's not just delusional, that's suicidal. No, with every flight being full, let's assume you're going to miss that flight. By the way, you're going to miss that flight. So assume you miss that flight. Under normal circumstances, the airline would say, we'll put you on our next available flight. But with every flight full, their next available flight might not be till Thursday next week. So you're sleeping over in Dallas. So when you go online to make a reservation, don't just be motivated by fare. Be motivated by connect time, right? And be motivated by the entire length of the journey. And the real problem is, if you look at the online services, almost every one of them does things in order of cheapest fare. Well, the cheapest fare from LA to New York might be 37-hour flight with 17 stops and 32-minute connect times. So look at the connect time first. And if it's anything under 90 minutes, don't book that flight, especially in the summer of 2021. It's nuts. I mean, speaking of the Olympics, you couldn't be an Olympic gold medal sprinter and make that connection, which doesn't even take into account your baggage. I'll give you another story that nobody's going to tell you. In some airports around the world, the minimum legal connect time for you is different than the minimum legal connect time for your bags. Stupid, right? Because they don't care about your bags. But you care about your bags. I care about mine. So if you're going to connect bags anyway, which brings up another whole issue of why you're checking bags in the first place, but if you are, understand this, that when London reopens to us, the minimum legal connect time for a flight connecting at Heathrow is 3 hours. The minimum connecting legal time for a bag is 4 hours. So let's do the math. You make your connecting flight and your bag spend the night in London. No. So in the United States, minimum, mark my words for you, 90-minute connect time, especially this summer, even if it's on the same airline from the same terminal. And in Europe, in London, when it opens up, minimum connect time 4 hours. And then there's one more thing you got to do. We live in a world of barcodes, right? When you get to your gate of your connecting flight, you have your barcodes from your bag tags. Show them to the gate agent and say, have my bags been loaded? There's one little keystroke they can hit, scan those barcodes, and they'll tell you right away. Why would you want to wait to be disappointed at your destination? Get disappointed before you get on the plane. If you're assuming you're going to check bags in the first place. I hope I'm good on that. Let's go back to the last couple of questions here. John says the lighthouse on Montauk on Long Island ranks pretty high. I agree with you, John. Absolutely. Mia says, I watched all your shows on PBS. Excellent. When do I have to buy cruise insurance for November mid-sailing? Not sure if it will go. But the first thing you're going to do is you're not going to buy it from the cruise line. Call your travel agent and get travel insurance, which, by the way, is trip cancellation and interruption insurance that will protect you if they cancel. Remember, cruise lines were notorious in not refunding money for people when they cancel their cruises. So read the language before you buy the policy. Okay? All right. I'm looking here to see if there are any last questions here before I watch the sunset here in Athens. We should almost do a webcam for you. I think we've done it. A couple of housekeeping notes. Again, our radio show from the Grand Britannia here in Athens airs this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Check your local listings. And if you can't find a station in your market, not a problem. Just go right to our website, petergreenberg.com, hit the radio icon, we stream it live. Of course, Eye on Travel is the name of that show on CBS. And if you have questions for me today that I didn't get to, just email them to me, peter@petergreenberg.com. We'll either answer them live on the air or I'll do it online. And now, because I'm in Athens and you're not, I'm going to go appreciate the sunset, and I'll see you on the radio on Saturday. And I'll see you next Thursday from somewhere in the Mediterranean. That's the only clue you're going to get. See you next week, guys.